Hello, hi there. Hi everyone and welcome to my show. My name is Ferdinand, I'm your host today, and today we're going to talk about TV license. Now, TV license is not a hot potato. Lots of people get caught up in this web of, it all has to do with the statutory world. So, what is a license? Do we have to pay it? A license is what you use to do business. If you're doing business, you require a license. And so, you will be asking yourself then, well, why do I need a license? I'm not doing business. I'm just watching TV. Them eyes are in my head, and I'm gonna use them as when and where and as I please. The problem with that is that they want to tie you into a contractual agreement, and so and the only way they can do that is to issue you a license. And so, if you have a license, it means you're obligated to pay if you're operating on the license, pretty much like the driver's license. Now, just to give you a little background here, the TV License Act was enacted in 1960, 1946 in the UK. The Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, licensed people to watch at the time, the monochrome version of what we have today. Today we got the black and white, colored TV, but before it was the monochrome black and white. Okay, now today is colored. So it was enacted during those times, and it would cover the live broadcasting. More so recently, the internet and radio as well. More so in recent times, the internet and radio. As it becomes popular, many people obtain these devices and various add-ons. So, like you got the follower program, the Netflix, the Amazon Stick, Fire Stick, and so on and so on. The TV license, it generates vast revenue for the BBC. You're looking at almost £4 billion annually it generates, and the enforcement operation in 2004 was approximately 24.5 million enforcement of the TV license. So they managed to make people, force people to obtain all these, like, well, not force, but maybe legally so. Maybe they were watching live programs, news, and so on. Now, do we have to buy it? Yes and no. Yes, if you're watching live broadcasting, news, some programs on Sky and so on. But no, if you're only watching your DVDs, your VHS, your Netflix programs, your Amazon programs, you're watching something on your camcorder and from your phone, iPod, and so on. Various other pre-recorded programs, you don't really need to. You don't need a TV license. Really, you don't need a TV license because the eyes are in your head and you'll watch whatever you want. Now, man is unlimited in his capacity. Um, these are creations of man. These are monstrosities of man. These creations are of man, TV and licensing and so on. Now, man don't require none of that to. He's unlimited in his capacities. So, the only thing man is not sovereign over is the laws of nature, the laws of gravity, and so on. But he's sovereign relative to other things. So is limitless in his creativity, his capacity to create and to be innovative and to live on the land, to go and to be his own sovereign, to be a self, um, to determine his own future, his own destiny. So there's no laws or rules or regulation that can but bind you into anything. A man is free and is unlimited in his creativity, in his sovereignty. So you're not bound by any laws or regulation. However, saying that if you require a license for a licensed activity, if you're operating on the license, pretty much like the driver's license, then you're obligated to pay a kind of levy, a kind of charge, a kind of fee for the creativity of somebody else's doing. So it is a property of somebody else, and therefore they say that if you're gonna watch my program, you have to pay a kind of levy, a kind of fee for my hard work and my effort. Okay, which is reasonable. But as I say, if you're not watching live TV, you don't really need to get this kind of thing. However, when it comes to the enforcement of such act, TV license act, you generally get the bailiffs with the police officers accompanying them. Now, you should always remember that the police officer is a policeman or woman that accompanies, or even the officer that accompanies the TV license, various TV license agencies that will turn at your door, the bailiffs and so on. They are just there to keep the peace. They're not there to enforce any TV license charge against you. They cannot force you to open your door, and I've seen lots of people refuse to open the door because they're almost certain they will try and get you on some other kind of charge. One of the tactics they will use, and I think this is very crude and deceptive of them, they will enter your home if you let them in. If you let, if you let them in, if you don't let them in, they can't come in. Whether they're there with the police with a warrant or not, if you don't let them in, they can't come in. Okay. And oftentimes, talking about the warrant is just signed by one of them in the office there. Most of the time, a judge will never put his name to that kind of thing. Most of the time. Just to make the record clear, though, I do pay my TV license where I am. TV license paid here, and it's paid because I engage in other activities as well. I need to access other programs and so on to do my research and stuff like that. So I do pay it here because I kind of require it under their licensing act. It's all a code world, you see, run by machines. So anyway, generally they're there to keep the peace, the officers that accompanies these TV license people. But you're not obliged to open the door and let them in. And if you do, one of the tactics they'll use is to try and they will tell you to turn on the television. When you turn it on, they say switch to a live broadcasting program like news or whatever. And as soon as you do that, they say, see, he's watching live broadcasting TV, and you perhaps never watched the program before. So there we go. So that's one of the tricks of the trade they use on you. But if you never let them in, you're not obliged to. And if you never let them in, they can't get you with anything. So that's just to say that. Not to say that you should not pay your license. I say, I do advise anybody who's watching live broadcasting to pay your license. But if you're watching the DVDs and you catch up programs in Netflix and so on, you don't require it. Okay. So I don't give legal advice. I give lawful information, general information as well in this regard. This has nothing to. This is more to do with legal as opposed to lawful. Lawfully, I don't have to. I don't require a license to do anything. Lawfully, but legally you do. So lawful and legal. You see, they can't license something that was already lawful. They can only license something that was. I'm sorry, unlawful. They can't license something that's unlawful. They can only license something that was already lawful. So anything that they require to have a license for it, you are already able to do it. You're already privy to do it. You're not privy, but you're already it was already a right to do it. It was already a lawful act to do, like marriage. Nobody has to give me a license to marry. In early human society, everybody knows Johnny and Ginny is together, and that was it. Okay, and that was enough. But nowadays, they license this lawful, what was already lawful activity. Same thing with driving. People were able, not driving, but going from A to B. People was able to jump on their donkeys, ride their tricycle, or their bicycle, whatever, their little Batmobile, a spaceship, whatever it is that they create, they invent, their creation, their monster, or even if they're just using something that somebody else has created, which is going about their daily business. They really didn't need a license, but nowadays, in order to put that levy, a little tax on you to say, oh well, we need this much money. Most of the time, in terms of the driving, the taxes are necessary to maintain the roads and so on. So whether it goes to maintaining the roads or not, it's another matter. But it's fair if you're doing business with it. All the supermarkets and so on. That, they have these heavy freights moving around and so on. Of course, they need to pay for the upkeep, the maintenance of the road, because there's lots of wear and tear on the road. So license sometimes can be useful and handy when it comes to maintaining the infrastructure we already have. Okay, but some license, like TV license, now I don't need a license to look. Okay, so I can look at whatever I want. Now, if I buy a television, the only reason why I buy a TV is to watch it, and if I'm watching it, I'm not doing anything unlawful. My eyes are just going wherever I will. Okay, I'm unlimited in my capacity to look, to speak, to walk, to talk, to eat, to go wherever I want. Okay, so I'm unlimited. So I would be watching the TV. My friends will be watching it. Neighbors will be passing by and watching it. Who's gonna license their eyes to watch it? The only problem comes in when when the code is enforced upon you. code 35421, God knows what that is, TV lesson or something, says that you need this lesson to watch it. And so you can imagine somebody passing by, looking at the TV, thinking, "Oh, can't look. Need a license to watch it. I buy it to watch it." And if you don't want me to watch a program you're showing, then don't show it. Simple. That's the way I look at it. But as I say, we're living in a code world, largely a code society, and everything here is by the code in a book. They make almost £4 billion a year, showing something most people don't even, all these programs most people don't even watch. People are busy watching other gaming programs and all the other programs, various other programs. Nobody watches most of what these people show, but well, you know, lots of people not watching it now. Let me put it that way, to be fair. Lots and lots of people, maybe half of people don't watch most of the trivial nonsense that they show on television these days. Most people don't even watch it. Some maybe over 50s, 60s, 70s who have nothing better to do, and they sit there and there's nothing better to watch. They don't play games. They don't go on the internet surfing. They don't try to. Most of them don't engage in these kind of activities where they do their research and so on. Most of them just sit down, have a comfy little life, and they just watch whatever is showing, however crappy it is. So there we go. So I hope I was able to. Despite all the money they make, they'll still come after you and lock up the poor old granny that refuses to pay because she don't watch all that crap. So they make lots of money every year and they'll still come after you. But as I say, if you don't let them in, they can't come in. And even if the police is there, and generally with this so-called warrant, most of the time it's not signed by a judge. 99% of the time, it's signed by some executive in the office. But I'm not saying if you're watching live program you shouldn't pay for it. I do, and I'd advise everybody who watches live program to do also. But as I say, if you don't watch it, you don't need it, and you don't need a license to look or to watch anything. In other words, so yes and no. Do I need a license? Yes and no. You just have to know what laws you're abiding under, what laws you're going by. As I stated in my previous programs about ticket fines and charges, there are four systems running parallel here. There is the natural laws, there is the LORE, the law, the folklore, the custom, tradition, beliefs of the people, unwritten law, and then you got the common law, which is just a common understanding, more or less unwritten, but these days they hand it to you on a piece of paper, say, well, these are the laws. Okay. In olden times, in early human society, there was no written language, and therefore the Eskimos, for instance, don't. It's not written in stone for the Eskimos, and therefore they don't. They just use it word of mouth. That Bobby's father was the tallest man in the village. He tell his son tell his son, and then he hands it down one generation to generation. That family, particular family, were the tallest at one point, and so on and so on. It's like old folk laws, old folk sayings, and so on. So it's handed down. So that's natural law. That's common law. Common law is the one that they write down. That Bobby's father now was the tallest man, and then it started to get written down in common LAW. Over time, it starts to get written down like that, and before you know it, it turns into something else called statutory code law, the written law. And so one leaped from another and from another. Before you know it, we're all disenfranchised by these new creations, these new monsters of man, these new creations of man, these new Frankensteins. All these Frankensteins, various different aspects of law come into existence, and before you know it, we're all forced to live onto a code world run by machines. So the machine, the billions of cameras, every step you make, every move you make, it's like if you drop a cigarette butt, boom, you get an £80 ticket fine. If you drive in that lane, boom, you get an £80 ticket fine. If you park there for too long, boom, and you were able to do this comfortably all along. All of a sudden, next day, you have to pay to park in front of your house. You have to pay to drive through there. You have to pay, and there's no gate. You're not trespassing, you're not living up anything, but they're telling you that you violate some law, some code. 3521 bus lane, 7586 speeding, 921 parking in front of your house, and 7799, and the holy grail of them all, 999, the same one that used to tell you that you have to pay something that nobody helped you to earn, if you know what I mean. So anyway, so there we go. So I hope I was able to clear up most of your misconceptions of TV licensing, and I hope that you'll be able to use this kind of information now to be more informed, so you can make more informed decisions. So when you have to deal with these kind of issues, you will know that if you're not watching certain programs, you don't require it. If you don't have the thing plugged in, and you're not watching live TV, then you know you don't have to have a license, and there's nothing they can do as long as it's not plugged in, if you get what I mean. So if you plug it in and you're watching something, then you have to pay it. If it's not plugged in and you're not watching anything, then you don't have to pay anything. So just for you to, as I say, I paid, just make that clear. I paid because I have to do my research and there's some other programs I need and so on and so forth. So I do pay. So I hope I was able to clarify some points there. I do this show every day from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. My website is www.commonlawsolution.org. The email address to contact me on is commonlawsolution@gmail.com. My contact number is 0757746270. If you press that old microphone on the WhatsApp link there, you can voice your message and it'll come direct to my number. I will answer your questions and I will upload it on the website, and people can hear the answers to the various questions that are asked. Okay. If you don't want your voice to be heard, I will delete the recording. No problem. But we always encourage people to let their voice be heard. Okay. If you have any questions, I get most of the. This is one of them I had as well. The TV license. Well, I had this question from somebody, from a few people, and I didn't know what to do. And I say to them, look, if you're watching it, you have to pay it. If you don't want to, if you're not watching it, you don't have to pay it. Simple as that. There's no two ways about it. It's just black and white, just like that. Okay, so there's lots of subsequent videos to come. We'll talk about how to present yourself in court, at court, how to write a notice letter, how to write a harassment letter, or letter against harassment, a notice against harassment, how to do your 4A forms, freedom of information request. Maybe you got arrested, maybe you got, maybe you're done wrong to by a company, I don't know, criminal record bureau or whatever, and they need to FOIA you some information regarding what they might have on you there. Maybe it's the good old credit scoring people, whosoever it is. You can do all that kind of stuff. The police, anybody else, you can do that stuff with. Okay, so I was as I say, you can send me an email or a voicemail with all your questions. Or you can just call me direct and ask me any question, and of course it will be recorded and uploaded on the website for others to use. I do appreciate all those who donated to the program or to the cause. Common law is the only law that can fully protect your rights and your properties. The only law that will give you that full protection. Not to say the other laws don't, but they have more disadvantages than they have advantage. And just let me briefly explain. In terms of civil law, you can have somebody move from the old city and he hasn't done anything wrong, with injunctions and fine and all kind of court orders against him. But in common law, if you haven't done anything wrong, nobody can move you. Nobody can tell you not to look or to watch TV or not to watch TV. The eyes are in your head, and you will be looking, and you're unlimited in your capacity to do whatever you want to do. Okay, except that you're not suffering over the laws of nature. Okay, laws of gravity, for instance, you're sovereign relative to everything else. Okay, so there we go. So I don't want to keep this too long, so this is a very easy question, and I hope I was able to clear it up. As I say, get in touch with me, and I'll help you with whatever cases, whatever stuff you're going through, court cases, how to present yourself in court, at court. We do that all in the subsequent videos to come. Have a good day, and I will see you next time. Have a good day.